Good evening, everyone. For those that have already signed in, please take a seat. We're ready to start, and it looks like we have everyone pretty much in the room. And please continue to sign up. I know that tonight is so popular that we also have read out some of the information package, but be sure to sign up, provide us with your contact information, and we'll get you, everyone here tonight, if you want, the information that we're handing out. My name is Monte, and I'm with the City of El Monte Economic Development Department. Thank you for coming out tonight to our first housing workshop. The goal of this housing workshop is to get information to our El Monte residents about how to prepare for applying for affordable housing within our city. We have quite a few development projects that are coming up, and how we do that is to help you understand what are the components necessary to help you enhance the chance of applying for affordable housing projects when they become available. That could mean credit preparedness, that could be making sure that you have the right paperwork, also looking at what information may be needed for the application process, and have all of that be something that can be done in advance. So tonight we have a great lineup for you. The purpose of the format of the meeting today is that we have a great lineup of presenters from the Housing Rights Center, which will provide you with information about your legal rights. We have the 3 housing developers that will be producing an affordable housing project in our city, and they will be telling you specifically some of the requirements for their project. And then finally, we have Kathy Bank, their partner tonight, talking about the credit applications process, but also the financial aspect and financial preparedness of this. Tonight we have with us, joining us as well, we have our mayor, Ms. Andre Quintero. We have our councilman, I don't see him, Mr. Jerry Velasco, he's back there. We have our city treasurer, Mr. Thomas, Richard Thomas. And then from our school board, we also have school board member Padilla. And if I miss anyone, I do apologize, but I don't see anyone else here. Oh, I'm sorry, most important person, my boss, City Manager Alex Hamilton. At this point in time, I would like to have the mayor address the audience, but on behalf of the City of Monte, I do want to thank you and hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. At the end of the meeting, you'll have an opportunity, if you have any questions specifically, you will have an opportunity to ask each one of our presenters here. But please keep your question so that we can keep this format moving for everyone, as we do have a large number of people. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I want to also acknowledge a few other folks. Maria Morgan is here from the El Monte Union High School District. She's board president. We have Adam Carranza from the Mountain View School District Board. And Jacqueline Saldana, also from the Mountain View School District Board. I particularly want to draw attention, I won't be speaking too long, but I do want to draw attention to our school board members, and I'll tell you why. Because so many of the children in our community and parents in our community interact with our school board members and with the school districts. And they've come to us on more than one occasion saying, hey, listen, we need affordable housing. We need more affordable housing in this community. And it's not a new thing that they've started communicating. They've been communicating this over the years, but recently they passed resolutions in support of affordable housing. So their leadership on this topic is really important, and I'm very grateful that they're here to listen to the presentations and to be with us, because they understand very well how important this is for our community. So I'd like to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being here. I know it's, if I can get your attention, I know it's very challenging. As you all know, while some people think the economy is going really well, wages have not been going up. And a lot of people have said to me, even tonight, our rents keep going up, but our wages are not going up. So we're having really difficult times trying to make ends meet. And many of you have either children or grandchildren that you're watching. And so I can just imagine how stressful that can be for all of you. We are trying to figure out ways to help expedite more affordable housing in our community. I want to give you an example of something that we did within the last few years. We built 132 units right next to the bus terminal. By the way, that was a project that was in the works from 2007. It took about 10 years, almost 10 years, to get to that point where we built 132 units. When we advertised those 132 units, you know how many applications we got? 3,000 applications for 132 units. We cannot build housing fast enough for the demand that's there. So we're trying to figure out different strategies to help facilitate that housing process. For those of you that are here today as well, we're going to communicate with you and we're going to let you know. We're going to have more of these workshops, but more importantly, we're going to try to find a way, and I think we will, to get some of our legislators down here from Sacramento. Because right now they're talking about affordable housing in Sacramento, but I want them to see exactly what that means and who's affected by affordable housing. Right now there's an issue regarding rent control in the state of California. We swung so far to one direction that prevents cities from really having meaningful rent control. And so we need our legislators to know how important that is as well. Something as simple as putting a roof over your head and being able to take care of your family. That's all any of us could ever want. And so that's what we're trying to do. We've talked to staff to figure out ways where we can invite affordable housing developers, and you're going to get to meet some of them today. They're going to talk to you about their processes for the projects that they have coming online, to figure out ways to help incentivize them to build more housing in our city. That's something that we're working on. But I want to assure you this, and this is very important. The City Council, all 5 of us together, are 100% committed to building affordable housing. And I want you to know what that means exactly. There's one project that you'll hear about here. Initially, when they came to us, they said, okay, we'd like to build this. But there were some challenges, maybe some issues that came up, and our staff worked really hard to work with them to try to make that work. Because they have to apply for some federal funds to help build the type of housing that we're talking about. At the very last minute, staff came to us and said, you know what? The funding's not exactly what we were thinking we were going to be able to get. We have to do some value engineering. We're going to have to maybe get rid of some parking. There are going to be some changes that we need to do. There's 2 approaches that we could have taken to that problem. One, sorry, that's not what we approved. We're not going to go ahead with this. Or 2, we will make it work. We took the second approach. We will make it work. And because of that, there's going to be 22 units in the city built for people that need the housing. So I want you to know that our staff is committed to making this work. The council's committed to making it work. And we may communicate with you in the future again, and I'll tell you why. Because sometimes in some of these neighborhoods, people come to meetings and they say, oh, we don't want those people here. But they don't know when they're saying those people, what that means. It means people that are just trying to make a living, take care of their families, and put a roof over their heads. So we may ask you to come by so that we can let people know what those people are. You're good people. And you deserve a place to lay your head at night, safe for you and your families. So with that, today you're going to hear information about how to qualify. You're going to learn about credit and how important credit is for qualifying for some of this stuff. I know it's challenging. Get as much information as you can. Spread it as much as you can. Before I give up the mic to our staff, I do want to ask a couple of really simple questions. This is a quick survey. How many of you heard about this through the El Monte City School District? Raise your hand. Very good. How many of you heard about this through the Mountain View School District? Please raise your hand. Okay, good. How many of you heard about this through the high school district? Please raise your hand. Okay, very good. How many of you heard about this through the newspaper?
Thank you so much.
Okay, how many of you heard about it through Facebook or emails from the city? Good. If you get a chance to go to the city website and sign up for our e-newsletters, please do. You will get information about all kinds of things that are happening. If you like the email, read it. If you don't, delete it. But at least you'll get access to that information. We'll keep sending information that way. And then lastly, how many of you live currently right now in the city of El Monte? Raise your hand. All right, very good. Well, we want to keep you. We want to keep you. We want to keep your kids in our community. We want to make sure that that you get what you need. So with that, I'd like to introduce, again, reintroduce Min Tai. He's our Economic Development Director. Min has been with the city for 17 years. I want to share you something. He is one of our absolute best professionals in our community. He's our Economic Development Director. He's an immigrant from Vietnam. And he's been with our city for a long time. He's committed to helping us make a difference in this community, and we're honored to have him. Alexander Hamilton is our city manager. I like to teach him because we have a founding father working for us, Alexander Hamilton. But honestly, I'm very glad that you're all here. I've had a chance to say a few words, also to give you guys time to settle in. And now we're going to start with the workshop. Thank you very much, and best wishes to all of you.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of housekeeping items just so that we have Vietnamese translation. Where's my Vietnamese translator? So if you want to come up this area, we have a Vietnamese translator here. We also have a Chinese language translator back there. You can either grab a radio or just go back to the table. And finally, for anyone that needs Spanish translation, we have radios back there as well. So please go back there and check it out. And also bathrooms are located over here for anyone that needs bathrooms. And at this point in time, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Housing Resources Center. They provide free legal advice for fair housing and tenant rights. So if you ever have any issues relating to housing rights with your landlord, they can help you. We also have them coming to the city every Wednesday between 2 to 5. So if you can't reach them on the phone, every Wednesday between 2 to 5, you can come to City Hall West, and they will be available. So at this point in time, I'd like to welcome Ms. Carla Tempera.
Not surprising.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carla Contreras, and I'm one of the outreach coordinators at the Housing Rights Center. I want to thank everybody for being here. Just give us a couple of minutes. We're putting up the PowerPoint, but I appreciate everyone's patience. Okay, we're gonna get started now. Today we're gonna focus on two main topics. The first one being the common landlord and tenant questions that we receive. and the second being the fair housing laws, both at the federal and state levels. But first, let me introduce our organization and the services that we provide. The Housing Rights Center is the nation's largest civil rights nonprofit organization focused on securing and promoting fair housing. And we do this by providing free landlord and tenant counseling, discrimination investigation, litigation, and outreach and education. This means that we go out into the community and inform community members about what their rights are. Okay, now that I've gone over our services, let's take a look at the common landlord and tenant questions that we receive. I chose these questions because these are the top 3 questions that we have been receiving through our walk-in clinics in El Monte. And the first one asks, how much advance notice must my landlord give me if he or she wants me to move out of my unit? So this is somewhat of a complex question, but generally, if a tenant has been living in a unit on a month-to-month rental agreement, less than a year, then a 30-day written notice is required, okay? And if a tenant has been living in the unit for over a year, then a 60-day written notice is required. And if a tenant is on the Section 8 program or the building is being foreclosed on, then a 90-day written notice is required. If a tenant is on a fixed-term lease, meaning that they signed on, for example, into a 2-year lease agreement, then a landlord cannot ask a tenant to vacate the unit within that 2-year term, unless they have been found breaking any of the lease terms. If a tenant has in fact been found breaking any of the lease terms, then they can be given a 3-day notice to pay or quit, or a 3-day notice to comply or quit, depending on the situation. For example, let's say a tenant hasn't paid the rent on time hasn't paid the rent by the time that it's due, then a landlord can serve them with a 3-day notice to pay or quit, meaning that they have 3 days to pay the amount that is due, or they quit the agreement and agree to move out. It's important to remember that a landlord doesn't have to give a reason why they want a tenant to vacate the unit. So this means that a tenant can be a great tenant and have paid their rent on time for 15 years and still be served a notice to vacate. But it's also important to remember that these notices to vacate can't be retaliatory, nor can they be discriminatory, meaning that a landlord cannot only give a notice to vacate to families that have children and allow families that don't have children to remain in the building. It's also important to remember that these notices to vacate cannot be retaliatory, so a landlord cannot give a notice to vacate to a tenant as a way to avoid making any of the repairs that they've requested. If a tenant is under rent control, then they want to contact the housing department, because there are only certain situations in which a landlord can ask a tenant to vacate if they are under rent control, and they may be entitled to relocation assistance. Moving on to question 2, how much and how often can a landlord legally raise the rent? Currently, there is no maximum amount or maximum number of times a landlord can legally raise the rent on a tenant, meaning that a landlord can increase the rent as much as they want and as many times as they want, as long as they provide the proper written notice. So what is the proper written notice? If a landlord is increasing the rent by less than 10%, then a 30-day written notice is required. If a landlord is increasing the rent by 10% or more, then a 60-day written notice is required. Okay? If you are under rent control, it's important to remember that a landlord can only increase the rent once a year, and that amount is determined by the rent control board. At this point in time, it's about 3%. And then I want to remind everyone again that these rental increases cannot be retaliatory, nor can they be discriminatory, meaning that a landlord cannot only increase the rent for tenants that are living together and not married, and allow married couples to continue paying the same price. And the third question asks, who is responsible for the cost of making repairs? So again, this is somewhat of a complex question, but generally the person who is responsible for the issue is the person that is responsible for making that repair. So let me give you a couple of examples. Let's say the heating system is broken, a structural issue, then the landlord would be responsible for making that repair. Now on the other side, let's say there's a hole in the wall that was caused when the tenant moved in, clearly caused by the tenant, then the tenant would be responsible for making that repair. It's important to remember that the burden of proof does fall on the landlord. So if the landlord believes, let's say, the kitchen sink is broken and the landlord believes that it was the tenant's fault, then the landlord has to hire someone, in this situation, a plumber, who would assess the situation and determine if it was in fact the tenant's responsibility. I'm going to move on to our next slide, and this slide gives a couple of examples of things that landlords are responsible for and tenants are responsible for in order to keep the unit and keep the unit habitable. Okay, so I'm going to give you all a second to look at this slide. I want to also remind everyone that this PowerPoint is printed out and it is included in your packet. So if you have any further questions, you can always look at the packet to review the slides that are on there. Okay, and then these are some things that a rental property must be equipped with in order for it to be deemed habitable. Okay, now that I've gone over the common landlord and tenant questions that we received, we're going to go into the protections that we have at the federal level. We as California residents have additional protections, and I'll be going over those in just a moment. These protections are afforded to every person living in the United States. These are the minimum protections afforded to everyone. First, the first three on the list are race, color, and national origin, meaning that we have protections from being discriminated against based on our race, our color, and our nation of birth. We also have protections from being discriminated against based on our religion and our decision not to practice a religion. And this does not only include a refusal to rent to someone of a certain religion, but can also be experienced with selective advertisements. Selective advertisements are advertisements that are advertising a vacancy that give off an impression of a preference. So for example, let's say there's a vacancy and there's an advertisement that is advertising the vacancy, and it states unit available in a nice Christian community. I know, although it may seem harmless, that kind of sign can dissuade people who are not of the Christian religion from renting the unit out. Religious discrimination can also be experienced through differential terms or treatment. So for example, let's say come holiday time, a landlord allows Christmas decorations to go up, but doesn't allow Hanukkah decorations to go up as well. This will be considered religious discrimination or discrimination based on religion. We also have protections from being discriminated against based on our sex, and this includes gender as well as sexual harassment. So sexual harassment can be experienced through quid pro quo, meaning that a favor for a favor. So let's say, for example, a manager asks you to go on a date with them and offers you a discount on your rent in return for the date. This would be considered sexual harassment and is protected by the fair housing laws. Sexual harassment can also be experienced through physical, verbal, or visual harassment. And it's important to remember that it does not matter what the accused intended. It matters what the victim perceived the situation to be. Next on the list, we have familial status, meaning that we have protections from being discriminated against based on the fact that a family has children or someone under the age of 18 living in the unit. And this can be experienced through restrictive house rules, meaning that a landlord cannot impose restrictive house rules on a tenant that has children. So for example, let's say a landlord doesn't allow children to play outside of the unit. This can be seen as overly restrictive and is protected by the fair housing laws. Familial status discrimination also includes steering, so physically steering tenants away from a unit. So let's say, for example, a landlord is speaking to a family and states, this building is not equipped for children, and there's a building down the street that has a playground and more children for your children to play with. This would be considered physically steering a family away from the building, and is protected under the fair housing laws. I also want to talk about occupancy limits. So occupancy limits are usually enforced by the city. So depending on the square footage of a building, that determines how many people are allowed to live in the unit. However, there is a guideline that states that for every one bedroom, you can have up to 2 tenants living in the bedroom and 1 additional tenant known as the floater. This is just a guideline, and landlords can use it as a way to determine occupancy limits. Lastly on this, we have disability. We do have protections for those who have a mental or physical disability, and for this topic, for this protection, I want to focus on reasonable accommodations and reasonable modifications. Reasonable modifications would be a structural change to the unit, and a reasonable accommodation is a change to a policy. Here are some examples of reasonable accommodations and some examples of reasonable modifications. In order for a reasonable accommodation or a reasonable modification to be granted, it must be necessary and it must be reasonable. Necessary meaning that a tenant must be ready to provide medical documentation or documentation from someone who has intimate knowledge of their situation in order for the accommodation or modification to be granted. In order for it to be granted, it must also be reasonable, meaning that it shouldn't cause the landlord an undue or financial burden, nor should it alter their role as a housing provider. Now that I've gone over the protections that are afforded to everyone living in the United States at the federal level, we're going to take a look at the protections that are afforded to us for being California residents. The first one being marital status. This means that we have protections from being discriminated against based on whether we're gay, straight, bisexual, or if the housing provider perceives you to be we do have protections from marital status, meaning that whether we are single, divorced, or married, we have protections from being any of that marital status. We also have protections from being discriminated against based on our ancestry. So for example, yes, actually.
I'm sorry. All the Hispanics that don't understand English only have the privilege to have the translation. In the back, they said they were going to be translating, but the Spanish speaking of that don't have the.
We are. We actually do have, but she's just having to run to the restroom, so give her 1 minute and we'll start that process. Thank you.
También si tienen alguna pregunta ya cuando se acaben las presentaciones, pueden pasar aquí a nuestro mesa y nos pueden preguntar. Yo hablo español y si tienen alguna pregunta y ustedes hablan español, soy feliz para responder alguna pregunta, ¿ok? Okay, so now we're going to continue with our next protected class, which is sexual orientation. So as I mentioned before, we do have protections from being discriminated against based on whether we are gay, straight, bisexual, or if the housing provider assumes us to be of a certain sexual orientation and discriminates against us because of it. We also have protections from being discriminated against based on our income source. So this means that a landlord cannot have or prefer someone of a certain income source over someone else. So let's say, for example, there's two tenants that are applying for a unit and both of them meet the income requirement. One of them makes their income from working full-time and the other one makes their income from, let's say, alimony or government assistance. A landlord cannot choose the person who is working full-time over the person who receives their income from any other income source. Next on the list we have gender identity or expression, meaning that a landlord cannot discriminate against someone based on their gender identity or their gender expression. We also have protections from being discriminated against based on our age. And I know I've talked about familial status, which offers protections for tenants that are under the age of 18. Well, this protected class offers protections for tenants that are over the age of 18. So let's say, for example, there's someone that is 19 years old who is applying for a unit. A landlord cannot discriminate against them because they feel like they are not responsible enough to be living in the unit. So this protected class offers protections for tenants that are over the age of 18. Our next protected class, immigration status. We are protected from being discriminated against based on our immigration status, meaning that a landlord cannot ask for proof of our citizenship, for proof of our residency when someone is applying for a unit. If they are asking for proper identification, they must be happy and ready to accept any other kind of identification card. So for example, a driver's license or a identification card. And then we also do have protections for tenants who have experienced domestic violence incidents. So let's say, for example, someone experienced a domestic violence incident, as long as they provide the documentation to prove that they have done so. So for example, let's say a police report or some kind of documentation that proves that they have experienced a domestic violence incident. If they do need to vacate the unit, then they are not going to be held liable for any kind of fees that they would be held liable if they did break a lease early. Lastly, we have protections from the Ralph Act. We have protections from being hurt or intimidated as a potential tenant or a tenant living in the unit, and from being hurt by a housing provider or any other tenant. Okay, I know I've gone over a lot of information, and I know everything that I said was in English, so if anyone has any further questions, we are going to have our table here on the side, and I will be more than happy to accept any questions regarding your housing rights or any other questions regarding to fair housing. Sé que he hablado de muchas diferentes información aquí ahora, y si ustedes tienen alguna pregunta o quieren saber más de sus derechos de la vivienda, hablo español, I also speak English, y pueden hablar conmigo aquí al lado, y si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor pregúntenme, ¿ok? Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Next on the presentation, we have an exciting project that is under construction right now. It's located at the corner of Peck and Ranchito. This project is an affordable family housing project for veterans and their families. And it's likely construction will be completed within the next 6 to 8 months. And will be the first project that you would be eligible to be considered for. So I want to bring up to the podium Milen Rodriguez, the Director of Asset Management, and Marcela Rivera, Director of Resident Services for Palo Verde Apartments.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Alan Rodriguez. We're from Hollywood Community Housing, and we are the developer for the Palo Verde Apartments located along Peck Road, corner of Ranchito.
Hi everybody, my name is Marcela. Mi nombre es Marcela Rivera de Hollywood Housing, soy la directora de servicios de residentes. y Inés Rodríguez, la directora de Asset Management.
So we know that we are all excited for the opening of this project. We've been receiving a lot of calls every day in our offices regarding inquiry on when it is going to open. But every time that's a question asked, we always say there is going to be a list-up process.
Últimamente hemos estado recibiendo muchas llamadas acerca de los apartamentos Palo Alto y les queremos recordar que es un proceso y vamos a explicar el proceso ahora.
Palo Verde apartment is scheduled to get completed by December of this year, which means that list-up will start sometime as early as August or September. You know, construction sometimes they may or may not be some delay. And then everyone will be informed once you see a very, very big banner announcing list-up has started.
Ahorita Palo Verde Apartamentos está en el proceso de terminar. Esperamos que el proyecto termine en diciembre de este año y esperamos que puedan aplicar para los apartamentos en agosto y septiembre.
So once the banner is up there, you're going to see a very big word saying listing up or list up in process or list up is about to start. Something about list up. That's your keyword there. When you see the word listing up or list up, that's it. And it will tell you everything. The location, the dates, and the time that you could pick up an application. And it should be there. The banner will be hanged there from a minimum of 30 to as long as 60 days before we start collecting applications.
Estoy explicando que la manera que vamos a promover e informarles a ustedes que ya estamos listos para recibir aplicaciones es por medio de un banner que es como un sign grande que va a estar en el edificio y va a decir cuándo vamos a empezar a dar las aplicaciones y vamos a poner este banner, este sign 30 a 60 días antes de que se acepten aplicaciones.
And once the list-up began, you will be able to see, I believe in your packet, a sample of the rental applications. It's there. It is very rigid, very detailed. It's kind of a very long application.
En los documentos que recibieron hoy, si pueden ver en el paquete, ahí está la aplicación. Es un poco larga la aplicación, pero pueden verla ahorita.
Yes, that is the income limit. So the project is affordable, which means we qualify people based on income. There is also there in your pocket the income limits on the number of people. That is the income limit now. It may or may go up a little higher when the list-up starts. But that is basically is what you're going to see. That's how we qualify people. And that is according to Section 42 of the IRS Code. Because it is a tax credit project. So we had to follow on that code. So if you want to have any idea, you could go and do a research on Section 42 of the IRS Code. That is your guidelines for why we qualify for the income limit.
Acerca de las calificaciones de ingreso, también en el paquete está un documento que dice los límites de ingreso. Estos límites de ingreso están basados en el código de sección 42 de IRS. Si ustedes quieren hacer su investigación privada, pueden ver qué es eso. Pero básicamente la suma de la información está en el paquete que tienen. Son el límite de ingreso.
So if you have any questions regarding the application or I think you also have a copy of the leases in case you get qualified for that. It's also in that packet. There's also the list there that shows you how many number of people for a certain income limit. But please understand that we follow occupancy standards, which means we cannot there should be no over the number of people in a certain bedroom. So for example, a one bedroom should have a minimum of 1 person and a maximum of 3 people. It's times 2 plus 1. So just multiply the bedroom size. That is the maximum that your family can occupy in every unit. So if it's 2 bedroom, we multiply 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1 is 5. So maximum of 5 people. And remember, we qualify all the income of the people living in the unit as the total income of the household.
Ella está mencionando que tenemos que seguir las reglas de cuántas personas pueden vivir en un apartamento. Por ejemplo, si son dos cuartos en un apartamento, el máximo de personas que pueden vivir en ese apartamento son 5.
So watch out for the banner and let us know if you have questions. You can also go to our website if you want to see any other affordable housing that we have in the county of Los Angeles and in the city of Los Angeles. We also have other projects around the county and around the city of Los Angeles. It's www.hollywoodhousing.org.
Así que estén pendientes. Si buscan más información acerca de los proyectos de nuestra agencia, pueden ir al internet a la página www.hollywoodhousing.org.
And it's a very good advice to everyone who just in case would like to was able to get an application when we start the Lisa. When you start the application, the rental application, this one, I think you have it here like this page, complete it as honest as possible. We do verify and check everything. So the honest answer you give, the higher your chances would be to get processed faster. There are only 23 units. Remember, we can qualify. Though we do have to qualify at least 5 applications per unit, we can only move in 1 family. We practice fair housing law, the one that was discussed by the Housing Center earlier, so there is no reason for you to doubt that there is unfair housing practice that may occur in terms of the lottery. The lottery will be numbered, no names will be given to anybody. So nobody knows what application number and number 10 has, who belongs to that application. That's how it's going to work. And we thank the City of Monte for this opportunity. We thank you so much. You know, we've never come to a community meeting this much. This is rare. You know, we usually do see 100 people, less than 50, but you guys are amazing. So we hope, you know, you'll be able to serve the City of Monte very soon. Thank you.
Para traducir lo que dijo, está mencionando que el paquete que tiene la aplicación para aplicar para los apartamentos, verificamos todo lo que pone, así que recomendamos que sea lo más honesto que pueda en la aplicación, porque lo más honesto que sea, lo más rápido que se procesa tu aplicación. Para hacer la lotería que vamos a tener acerca de los apartamentos y quién recibe los apartamentos, vamos a recibir 5 aplicaciones por unidad y son 23 unidades en total. Y queremos darle gracias a la ciudad de Monte por esta gran oportunidad y estamos contentos de seguir, ojalá, haciendo más apartamentos en esta comunidad. Gracias.
Thank you, Milan. Thank you, Marcella. Next, we have the Baldwin Roads Veteran Housing Project. This project is development that we just broke ground on and is under construction right now. It's located on Baldwin and Rose Avenue at the railroad tracks. Construction, and I'm sure they'll give a little bit more information about that, but We estimate that construction will be completed within the next year to year and a half or so. At this point in time, I'd like to welcome this city-wise and Morella Ortiz as part of the Mercy Housing Development Project.
Hello and good evening. My name is Leah Ortiz. I am with Mercy Housing, and I'm here to talk about our new project for veterans. It's Baldwin Rose Family Veteran Home. Buenas tardes, yo me llamo Leah Ortiz y estoy aquí para presentar la información para nuestro nuevo proyecto que se va a abrir a mediados del próximo año, que se llama Baldwin Rose Family Veteran Home. Déjenme trabajar con la computadora para tener la presentación arriba. Thank you for waiting. Muchas gracias por esperar. Ok, como les dije, yo me llamo Mireya Ortiz y yo soy una manejadora de la propiedad para el Monte Veterans Village y también para la nueva propiedad que se va a abrir, Baldwin Rose Veterans Village. Voy a hablar sobre información de la propiedad, elegibilidad y ingresos, los límites de los ingresos y cómo llenar una aplicación. Y también si necesitan más asistencia para llenar la aplicación. I'm going to be going over information on the property, eligibility and income limits, how to fill out an application, and if you need additional assistance with filling out an application. So this is a picture of what it's estimated to look like. It's going to be two different buildings on both sides of Baldwin Avenue, and it's going to be a total of 55 units. For affordable housing, serving low-income families in which the head of household is a veteran. The intended population for 32 apartments will be families with a veteran that is a household, while the remaining 22 units will set aside for families where the head of household is a veteran experiencing homelessness, and there will be one staff unit. So esta propiedad va a ser dos edificios al lado de Baldwin Rose y van a ser 55 unidades para familias de bajos ingresos, donde un miembro de la familia, que sería la cabeza de la familia, tiene que ser un veterano o para 32 de los apartamentos tienen que ser un veterano, tiene que ser la cabeza de la familia, y las otras 22 unidades van a ser reservadas para las personas que son familias y una persona es el veterano y no tienen dónde vivir, están homeless. Y una unidad va a ser reservada para la manejadora de la propiedad. The development is located on two parcels, west parcel and east parcel, situated on both sides of Baldwin Avenue between Bessie Avenue and Rose Avenue, and it measures approximately 3.71 acres. El proyecto está localizado en un parcel de este y oeste, en los lados de Baldwin Avenue, entre Bessie Avenue y Rose Avenue. Mide aproximadamente 3.71 acres. Este es un ejemplo de cómo se van a ver las recámaras, los apartamentos de una recámara. This is an example of a one-bedroom unit. Este es un ejemplo de cómo se van a ver las recámaras de dos cuartos. This is an example of a two-bedroom unit. Y este es un ejemplo de las unidades que van a tener 3 recámaras. This is an example of a 3-bedroom unit. So we're going to have 14 one-bedroom units for homeless veterans making at or below 30% AMI, which stands for Average Medium Income. Vamos a tener 14 unidades de una recámara para veteranos que no tienen vivienda, que están haciendo no más del 30% del ingreso de por medio, que es de por medio. 8 two-bedroom units for homeless veterans making at or below 30% AMI, y luego 8 unidades de 2 recámaras van a ser reservadas para veteranos que están haciendo menos o no más del 30% de los ingresos mediados. 2 one-bedroom units for non-special needs, for special needs for veterans in a household. 2 unidades de una recámara para veteranos que no son unidades consideradas especiales porque no van a estar homeless. Two-bedroom non-special needs units for veterans in a household. Va a haber 12 unidades de 2 recámaras para veteranos que están sin vivienda, y 18 recámaras de 18 unidades de 3 recámaras para veteranos que no están desociados. Una unidad está reservada para la persona que va a manejar la propiedad. So there's going to be 18 3-bedroom non-special needs units for veterans head of household and 1 staff unit. There will also be a leasing office, 3 offices for services staff, centrally located laundry facilities at each parcel, bicycle parking, large community room, outdoor lounge sitting with a fire pit, a barbecue and outdoor dining area, a tot lot, edible garden plots with a sitting area and a garden shed. The west parcel will have 29 private garages and 18 service parking spaces. The east parcel will have 17 private garages and 10 service parking spaces. La propiedad va a tener una oficina para las personas que van a manejar la propiedad. Van a tener 3 oficinas para personas que van a asistir a servir a los residentes. Van a haber cuartos para lavandería en cada locación. Va a haber estacionamiento para las bicicletas. Va a haber un cuarto grande para la comunidad. Va a haber a donde sentarse afuera, donde también hay una donde se puede estar afuera, donde tienen como un fire pit, es donde como un tipo de parrilla. Van a también haber lugar donde comer y un barbecue grill. Va a haber también un lugar donde los niños puedan jugar. Van a tener un jardín donde puedan los residentes usar para plantar un jardín, plantar plantas. El parcel del oeste va a tener 29 lugares para estacionarse privados, 18 estacionamientos libres, y el parcel al este va a tener 17 estacionamientos privados y 10 estacionamientos libres. Los servicios que van a ser proveídos va a ser por nuestro pareja de New Directions for Veterans. Our on-site services will be provided by New Directions for Veterans. Please hold your questions until the end. Case management will be provided by a part-time paid social worker. Vamos a tener una trabajadora social que va a estar ahí de tiempo medio, y ellos van a ser proveídos por el departamento de veteranos.
Support will be provided through case management services, benefits, assistance, mental health care, educational services, linkage to outpatient services, life skills training, peer support and advocacy, financial literacy, and other programs and services. Se van a proveer muchos servicios para de asistencia con
también se va a ofrecer servicios donde les van a dar apoyo de casos, si necesitan algún servicio, asistencia de beneficios, salud mental, servicios educativos y otros entrenamientos para que usted pueda salir adelante.
Here's an example of the income limits for the 30% AMI as well as the minimum and maximum household size for a bedroom. Este es un ejemplo de los límites de los ingresos que se van a usar para las unidades que se van a ocupar del 30% del ingreso de por medio. Y también está indicando el límite del máximo y el mínimo de personas que se puede tener en los apartamentos. Que, por ejemplo, para una persona el límite sería de 18,930 si están al 30% del ingreso de por medio. Y si tenemos una recámara, lo mínimo de personas se requeriría es una y el máximo serían 3. So if we're looking at this, if you're a one person and you're qualifying for a 30% average median income unit, the max that you would be able to make for one person would be $18,930. And then if you're in a one bedroom, we require at least a minimum of one person and a maximum of 3 people.
Good night. I got it. Thank you.
This shows that there will be what the limits are for a 40% unit, as well as the household size that will be required for a 2-bedroom unit and a 3-bedroom unit. For example, if you are a family of 6 people, the maximum you can make for a 40% unit would be $41,840, and the minimum amount of people for a 2-bedroom would be 2, a max would be 5, and for a 3-bedroom, the minimum would be 3 people and the max would be 7 people. Este es un ejemplo del límite de ingresos al 40%, si usted está aplicando para una unidad que está al 40%. Por ejemplo, si usted tiene una familia y son 6, el máximo de ingreso que se podría hacer para calificar sería 41,840. El mínimo de personas para una recámara de 2 sería 2 personas y el máximo sería 5. Y si es una recámara de 3, el mínimo de personas serían 3 y el máximo serían 7. Y aquí están los ingresos para las unidades que están al 50%. These are the income limits for a 50% AMI unit. And these are the maximum incomes for a 60% unit. Este es un ejemplo de los ingresos para una unidad que está al 60%. We're going to talk about eligibility for Baldwin Road. So for the criminal records, we don't accept no felonies within the past 5 years, no record of criminal sexual activity or terrorist activity ever. Esta es la elegibilidad para Baldwin Road. Para el récord criminal, lo que estamos buscando es personas que no tengan ninguna felonía en los últimos 5 años y que no tengan ningún récord de actividad criminal sexual o de terrorista nunca. Residence criteria. Assisted tenants must only have one resident and receive assistance only in that unit. Si usted está aplicando para una residencia, usted solamente puede recibir asistencia en una unidad y no vivir en 2 diferentes unidades en diferentes propiedades y recibir asistencia en las 2 propiedades. También tenemos la verificación de elegibilidad y tienen que firmar documentos para que nosotros podamos verificar lo que nos están diciendo de ingresos y también para poder ser elegibles para el apartamento. Consent and verification forms, eligibility requirements, adult members of a household must sign consent forms and as necessary verification documents so that the owner can verify sources of income and other eligibility or screening requirements. The owner must consider a household ineligible if the adult members refuse to sign applicable consent and verification forms. Si las personas que están aplicando no quieren firmar los documentos para verificar sus ingresos o la información que nos están dando, no los podemos procesar para el apartamento. Cuando se les llama para la entrevista inicialmente, todos los miembros de la familia tienen que estar presentes y vamos a verificar que están cuidando bien donde viven al corriente y se les van a pedir hacer copias de sus documentos. Vamos a contestar cualquier pregunta que tengan ustedes y también se van a pedir verificar información, ya sea con sus empleadores, en otro lugar donde estén al corriente rentando. So for the initial interview, all household members need to be present. We will clarify any information that you have questions on, and we will make photocopies of IDs, social security cards, driver's license if you have that, and also send out verifications to third parties to verify income and other information that you have provided to us. What we're looking at is that rent paying habits and credit history, criminal records checks, and reasons to deny housing. Estamos mirando a historia de cómo paga la renta y también de su crédito. Estamos viendo a su récord criminal y las razones que se podía negar una aplicación es si tiene una eviction en los últimos 3 años. Y si nosotros tenemos razón de pensar de que usted no va a poder ser si nosotros pensamos que no va a poder progresar por los problemas que usted tiene, entonces eso sería una razón por que se les negaría la aplicación. A todos los aplicantes se les va a hacer lo que se le llama un background check y otra vez se está buscando gente que tiene récord criminal, sexual o si está registrado como un ofensor sexual, si tiene alguna felonía en los últimos 5 años y si tiene algún récord de terrorista. So what we're looking for in the background check, which will be ran on all adult household members, is if they have a criminal sexual activity record or they're a lifelong registered sex offender, if they have any felony convictions in the last 5 years, or if they have any terrorist activity ever. So this is an overview of the application process. We expect to provide applications in February 2019, and once you fill an application, it will be timestamped and dated. Applicants will be contacted in the order of application submission for an interview with property management. We will send out verifications to third party, and once all required documentation is submitted, we do send it to a third party compliance department for final review and approval. If a file needs corrections or additional information, we will contact you to do that. And then once all corrections are done, if there are no other requirements needed, you will be notified if your application was approved or denied. So este es cómo sería el proceso para procesar a un aplicante para un apartamento. Se estima que se van a dar las aplicaciones alrededor de febrero del 2019. Y se van a llenar las aplicaciones y como se vayan entregando se van a poner la fecha y el día que se entregaron se le van a llamar a las familias para procesarlas, se van a verificar cualquier ingresos que necesitemos verificar, se va a hacer el background check, después se somete todos sus documentos a otra organización para que apruebe todo. Si no necesita adicional documentos, entonces se le dice si se le aprobó para el apartamento o no. Así es que ahorita el proyecto ya se empezó en diciembre del año pasado y se espera de que se van a empezar a dar aplicaciones en febrero del 2019 y ojalá se complete el proyecto en mayo de 2019 y se esté completamente lleno para agosto de 2019. So this is what the timeline looks like. Construction starting in 2017 December. We expect applications to be served out to the public February of 2019 and completion May of 2019 and fully occupied in August of 2019.
Thank you, Marilla. Next on the presentation list, we have a project partners that's working with the city of El Monte to develop a new housing development project for family, for residents of El Monte at the corner of Tyler and Ramona Boulevard. This project is under the planning stage, and we're working with them to design the project. The goal is to complete the project within the next 24 to 2 years to 2.5 years. Today we have with our team here today is Mr. Maurice Ramirez. He's the president of Newport Partners. If I can also ask everyone a quick favor, I heard that some people in the back is having a hard time with hearing, so if we have questions along the table, please keep your voice quiet so be respectful of everyone who's here to listen. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Maurice Ramirez.
Buenas tardes. Primero quiero darle un aplauso por estar aquí. Todos ustedes, muchas gracias. Hay muchas veces que yo tengo que entrar a cuartos así para presentar un proyecto y el cuarto está lleno de gente que no quiere este tipo de casas. Entonces, muchas gracias por estar aquí y por su apoyo. I want to say thank you and a big applause to everybody for being here, sticking it out. I know that it's getting late in the evening. I hear a few little kids beginning to get a little annoyed, but thank you for being here. It means a lot. And the city, it shows the support, it shows the city the support that the community has to create affordable housing in the city of El Monte. I do want to thank and give credit to your civic leaders. For El Monte as a small city, it has really done a terrific job in trying to promote affordable housing. It's really amazing what your civic leaders have done. And anytime there's an affordable housing development project that is being proposed, I hope all of you come out in full force to support it because it's very much needed. So with that, I just want to introduce Newport Partners. We are a company, this will be our third development. I should work. Newport Partners has developed 2 affordable housing developments in El Monte already. Garvey Court and Tyler Court are both senior developments. We've been in the city for a while. We have been selected by the city to develop a new family housing project on the corner of Ramona in Tyler. Specifically, I'm not very good at looking backwards. So just a couple pictures of our current projects. Here's Garvey Court, Tyler. So Tyler and Ramona Apartments, we were selected through a request for proposals. And I want to, again, thank the city for their foresight. The initial proposal was for 31 units. We've been able to work with the city so that that development has increased to 44 units and now it's at 51 units. So I want to just repeat that in Spanish for a quick second. Le quiero agradecer mucho a la ciudad de El Monte y a sus oficiales, su alcalde, porque ellos sí están apoyando el trato de hacer más habitaciones para personas de menores recursos. Newport Partners fue escogido sobre una competición que la ciudad tuvo para contratar con nosotros para hacer hacer un nuevo apartamentos en la esquina de Ramona y Tyler. Esos apartamentos crecieron, que eran de 31 habitaciones a 44 habitaciones, y ahora al final vamos a tratar de construir 51 habitaciones que van a ser para familias. Específicamente van a ser para familias que tienen niños que van al colegio de los colegios del Monte. Entonces nosotros vamos a tratar de trabajar con ustedes que necesitan esas habitaciones para mantener la población de ese edificio que sea de la misma ciudad del Monte. Entonces también quiero agradecer mucho al apoyo y todo el trabajo que los oficiales del Monte Unified School District también han hecho para que la ciudad le ponga más atención a sostener esos apartamentos. Todo esto toma tiempo. Pero siempre empieza con la ciudad. La ciudad es la primera persona, la primera agencia que le da a los developers, a nosotros, la propiedad, o que nos ofrece préstamos para empezar, para dejarnos que nos empezamos a asegurar otras finanzas del Estado. El Estado, y no más en el Monte o Los Ángeles o la ciudad, todo el estado necesita muchas habitaciones, necesita mucha affordable housing. El estado va a tener una proposición que viene para la gente que vota en el septiembre, y esa proposición va a tratar de poner $3 billones para hacer más de este tipo de habitaciones. Entonces, la ciudad, les quiero agradecer y les quiero dar el apoyo para que ellos se pongan listos para aplicar, para asegurar ese dinero que va a venir del Estado. So I'll repeat that in English. I know I'm kind of just sort of haphazardly talking in English and Spanish. I want to really commend the city and the city officials and the staff because working with them, we've been able to increase the number of units in our development that we originally proposed to be 31 units. It grew to 44, and now it's at 51. 51 units for families, and going to be really targeted for families with children that go to the El Monte Unified School District. So I really think that you guys, you should give a big hand to your city officials who have had that foresight. Just one more thing that I said in Spanish, and I want to make sure that I convey in English. There's a proposition that's coming out this year for the upcoming election in September, right? That if it's voter approved, it could give the state $3 billion as a resource to create more affordable housing. So all you guys get out there and vote for that proposition, and the city will put itself in a good position to secure those funding. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Maurice, and we look forward to that project. For those who are still here with us, thank you. This is actually a really important presentation that we have coming up. This is from our partner, Cathay Bank, and their partner, Haven. And this is the part where we talk to you about financial preparedness, how to prepare for this, talking about credit repair, things that can help you to better enhance your application. So at this point in time, I want to welcome Ms. Hannah Rubalcaba from Cathay Bank and Erica Torres from Haven Neighborhood Services to do a joint presentation, teaching you how to be financially prepared and also repair your credit.
They saved the last but not least. So Anna will be talking to you in English, and I'll be translating to Spanish.
Mi nombre es Ana Rubalcaba. Oops. I went backwards, didn't I? Okay, my name is Ana Rubalcaba. I'm with Cathay bank, but my partner here, she will be doing it in Spanish, but now you all know my name in Spanish too, right? Okay, the seminar is supposed to end pretty soon, and so we're going to reduce this a little bit, and what we want to notify you right now is that we're going to do this again, but it's going to be in a smaller module, okay? So I'll let her do it next.
Lo importante de la aplicación es si ustedes califican, ¿verdad? Si sus ingresos califican, si su crédito está bien. ¿Quién de ustedes ha visto su crédito en el último año o sabe qué es su crédito? Que levante la mano el que sabe su crédito. ¿Quién sabe qué es el puntaje crediticio? Ok, entonces esa es una parte muy crítica de su aplicación. Entonces vamos a continuar, comenzamos a... Ana les va a decir en inglés.
What we're going to do in these modules, that we're going to hopefully have a workshop where we can speak with you a little bit more individually, because right now you've received a lot of information.
Entonces ahorita nuestro objetivo es tener una clase solamente para esto, para decirles cómo sus finanzas, para ver si califican sus ingresos, cuántas personas, su crédito. Entonces ahorita solamente vamos a hacer la presentación pequeña porque esto en realidad toma 2 horas.
The objective of our course is going to describe the implications of good and bad credit scores. What's good and what's bad, okay? And how it affects you in your application.
Entonces el objetivo de nosotros es decirle su crédito, si está bien o si está bien o si está mal, y cómo le afecta a la hora de usted meter su aplicación.
We're going to identify ways to build and repair your credit history.
Vamos a decirle los objetivos de cómo restruir su crédito, su historial crediticio.
We're going to recognize how to correct errors on your credit report. So if you have errors on your credit report and you see these signs posted outside, credit repair, and they're going to charge you $500 and they haven't even done anything for you, don't call them, okay?
Entonces le vamos a ver una cosa muy importante que es cómo reparar su crédito, ¿verdad? No se dice cómo componer, cómo hacer. Nosotros estamos en nuestras comunidades, hay muchas compañías que dicen que nosotros le vamos a ayudar a reparar su crédito. No es algo, nadie le puede ayudar a reparar su crédito porque es algo que en realidad no le pueden hacer magia, y le vamos a explicar cómo.
We're going to also show you how to recognize how to guard against identity theft. I mean, I've had identity theft and it's not easy, okay?
Otra cosa que a la hora de que ustedes van a estar listos para poner su aplicación para una casa, un apartamento, ¿verdad? Y usted no sabe si fue víctima de robo de identidad, que es algo muy común, es algo que es muy difícil de quitar, pero se tiene que ver. Entonces, si usted no ve su reporte de crédito, no sabe si ha sido víctima de robo de identidad.
We're going to teach you why it is important for you to maintain your credit and know what it is. Because it can help you obtain employment, housing, insurance, and how it's used as a tool to obtain a rental, okay?
Entonces, también le vamos a decir por qué es importante el tener crédito. ¿Quién de ustedes aquí sabe que su crédito es importante para poder usted obtener una de estas viviendas? El crédito es importante para poder, a veces algunos empleados le corren el crédito también para poder obtener empleo, para poder agarrar apartamento, que todos están aquí por eso. Entonces, ¿por qué no hablamos de algo muy crítico que es el crédito? Establecer, obtener y cómo mantener su crédito. Para obtener aseguranzas también le corren el crédito. Entre más mal crédito tengan, más usted va a pagar.
Okay. And then another part of the workshop is how to set your financial goals. Each of you have listened today that there are some maximums on some of these rental units. There are certain criteria that you're going to need to meet, and we're hoping that we will be able to share with you what you might qualify for, and even based on what you put together, we'll show you how to put together financial goals so you know what you qualify for, so you don't apply for something that you're not going to be able to get. Maybe you think you're not going to be able to get it, and you can get it because there may be different criteria. So we're going to hope that helping you put your finances together, you'll understand what you qualify for.
Entonces, ¿quién aquí sabe que sus metas financieras, verdad? Que es importante tener un presupuesto, es importante tener sus ingresos, con sus, les están preguntando para un apartamento de 3 recámaras, cuántas personas tienen que estar. Entonces, el saber su presupuesto, el saber si usted califica para el apartamento es muy importante. Porque si no, usted tal vez piensa que no califica para el apartamento, pero en realidad sí califica, tal vez tiene muchos ingresos o tiene menos, entonces nosotros les vamos a ayudar con el precio. ¿Cómo saber hacer un presupuesto?
We're also going to help you look and track. We have forms that will help you how to track your daily expenses, so that you could save more money, so that you can perhaps qualify for this type of rental, or know how much you need. Okay, so this is one of the tools that we'll be able to teach you.
Entonces, otra cosa, tenemos unas hojas que es de cómo usted puede calcular sus gastos diarios. Eso es muy importante para tal vez enseñarles a poder, eso tal vez les ayude a la hora de cuando usted vaya a calificar para la casa.
One of the things that you do when you save money and you know where your money is going is that you'll be able to increase the amount of money that you have available and kind of give yourself a raise to some degree, because you didn't know you were spending $5 every day on coffee. I think we figured that out to like $600 a year, and you buy a $5 cup or buy 3 cups of coffee at $2.50. I mean, you're better off taking a thermos and saving yourself some money.
Entonces, hay diferentes métodos. Dice que gasta mucho en su café, pero hay muchos métodos que podemos utilizar para tratar de ahorrar, para tal vez si no califica uno para una vivienda, tal vez califique para otra, ¿verdad?
So the principal reason for us to have these different modules or workshops that are going to be coming up is so that we can help you prepare yourself, so when you go file that application, you have everything in order. Okay, that's what we're hoping to do for you. That's what the city is trying to accomplish with this workshop, is to prepare you for possibly renting an affordable housing unit or getting you ready so that you don't leave our city. This is a great place to live, and we're hoping that you'll benefit from the resources that they're providing.
Entonces la ciudad está haciendo esto para que usted, para ayudarlos a calificar, ayudarlos con la aplicación, ayudarlos para el proceso. Entonces este fue algo muy informativo, porque tiene diferentes organizaciones como el Housing Rights Center que les está ayudando ahorita, que es lo que les pueden ayudar a ellos cuando usted es rentero. Nosotros les estamos ayudando con su crédito, a cómo hacer un presupuesto, a calificar, a tratar de ayudarles la aplicación. Entonces son muchas cosas que ustedes que se están llevando con ustedes. Hubo muchos proyectos 3 proyectos que van a estar disponibles. Ahorita de usted depende, y me da gusto los que se quedaron aquí, porque de usted depende de que ahora siga cuándo van a estar abiertos esos proyectos, y que usted tiene que estar llamando, usted tiene que estar viniendo a la ciudad, porque en realidad esto ahorita no es de que ya llegó, ya le dan la aplicación y ya se va. Usted tiene que hacer el trabajo, tiene que poner su presupuesto, tiene que poner sus ingresos, tiene que poner la aplicación en orden, porque usted sabe que entre mejor una aplicación esté, entre mejor su crédito usted está, va a ser una persona que le van a favorecer su aplicación. Okay, so I said,
Okay, almost. If you don't have, if you, we included some information on the packet. If you did not get the packet, please come by and sign up for a packet with us so that you can get our information, so you can come to one of our workshops.
Entonces el que no tiene paquete, que no le dieron paquete de los folders azules de la ciudad, entonces si pueden poner su nombre en la lista que está ahí al lado derecho, para que le envíen el paquete, usted lo puede recoger en la ciudad porque tienen mucha información importante. Entonces si a alguien no le tocó paquete, por favor vayan a poner su... sí, ahí están poniendo su nombre para que se le llame y venga a recoger su paquete.
Most of all, we want to thank you and thank the city for giving us this opportunity to present to you. We are looking forward to working with each one of you. These classes that we're hoping that you'll be able to attend, make sure that you let the city know that you want to come to the classes, register online so that you could find out when the classes are, or just even check with the city occasionally to see when they have the classes. Okay, so I want to thank you once again on behalf of the city of El Monte and also Cathay Bank.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Erica. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for staying here with us tonight. For those of you who did not get a packet or has more information, certainly you can just speak to the representative here at the table, but please take down this phone number. This is the phone number to the City of El Monte Housing Division. Any questions you have, any information you need, if you didn't receive a packet and would like something emailed to you, please call this number, provide us with your contact information, and we will be able to assist you. Also, we will be working with our partners again to put on other sessions. If you didn't feel that you get enough information here tonight, we will continue to put on these sessions so that you can get ongoing information about our projects and what the city of El Monte is working to provide housing, affordable housing to residents of El Monte. Thank you again and have a great night.
Hey!